instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. All right, well, welcome everybody into the Flagstick Podcast, episode 83. I am Jeff Botter. This is Scott McLeod, and this great podcast is brought to you this week by TaylorMade Golf. What if the golf ball you're playing isn't the number one ball for you? Meet the all-new TP5 and TP5X from TaylorMade. Whether you prefer the softest 5-layer tour ball in TP5 or the fastest, that's now a half club longer in TP5X, you'll be playing the golf ball that performs like it was built just for you. Available in white, yellow, and picks. You can personalize it with my symbol no matter which you choose. The TP5 and TP5X is designed to help your game. Head to TaylorMadeGolf.ca to find the number one ball for you. Social media. We like you to follow us across all the social media networks: Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. And please subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. We really encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell. Make sure you never miss a single episode. We've already begun adding some very unique content, and we'll do that throughout the season, as well as some giveaways coming again soon, because I got some gear. I got some goodies.
Ooh, I like it. Goodies is good.
Cool that we intro in there with the TP5 and TP5X ball there, because there was 120 golfers this past weekend that received a fine dozen of the TP5X ball.
You did.
So half a club longer. I mean, it kind of showed the way they made if they played it.
Maybe. There's definitely some people that needed the ball.
There was some good golf over the weekend. So
yeah, we'll get to that of where that was.
Definitely. We're gonna the small talk's going to be at a minimum, because unfortunately, for some stupid reason, we started to record this episode, and Scott and I got off on a tangent talking about it. Next thing you know, our 30 minutes were already half gone, and we haven't even started talking podcasts. So we kind of have to skip through a little bit of the small talk because we've already had it. So sorry you're not privy to all that, because I didn't record it either.
But some of that we'll hear about maybe next week or a future show. We've got some things to talk about for sure.
You never know what the two of us are going to get going off on. So it could happen in the middle of this show too. On the front nine, we're going to catch up with some of the latest golf news before we wrap up the Flagstick Open Amateur Championship. And on the back nine, we're going to do a little preview of the RBC Canadian Open with some key storylines. So let's get at that. Let's get at the front nine right now. Presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Golf season is here. Don't wait. Get on the wait list for memberships and leagues, or purchase some game passes to start the season and save compared to regular green fees. Visit metcalfgolf.com to shop for those now. Okay, we want to step in and talk. Shut up! Don't. See, we don't draw attention to it. Let's not draw attention to it.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay, so I didn't say it, but do we want to talk Flagstick Open? We want to get into that right now.
Yeah, let's do that. One, are you recovered? I don't know about you, but by the time I got home by 11 plus, whatever it was, Sunday night. Of course, I was writing the wrap up story, and that took 1,500 words out of me at the end of it or whatever. But you're good. You're good.
I'm good. I mean, I don't know if there was a hockey game on that night or not.
It's a blur.
I'm glad that there's the Stanley Cup playoffs right now, but man, I can't wait for it to be over. I'm tired. Yeah. The sad part is, if you're always going to have a Western team and an Eastern team, right? So no matter what, once the Stanley Cup playoffs is going, you're always going to have a late game at some point or another. But anyway, no, I'm kind of recovered. It
was a great weekend. I mean,
we had an awesome weekend.
It was the best weather we've seen in 12 editions of the Flagstick Opens, which we'll start out with for sure. So noted much by the participants.
Oh my gosh, obviously. Are you kidding me? it was like,
constant.
Usually you're kind of focusing in on, it was a great tournament, the play was great, the course was in amazing shape. It was like the biggest, if there was a percentage of topic discussed or mentioned.
Yeah.
At the end of the tournament, it was like, I can't believe we got 2 great days of golf in this tournament. It's like,
Yeah.
unfortunately that does happen. It is the time of year because it's May. You do get a little bit more of a crapshoot when it comes to the weather.
Yeah.
And we've had some weird ones. There's no question about that. But
Oh yeah.
we got 2 really, really solid days for golf. I mean, it was warm, really warm on Sunday.
Yeah, it was smoking is what it was. So it was pretty hot. So
But that didn't seem to, I mean, didn't seem to bother people at the end of the day. I mean, you
no,
want good weather.
look,
They'd rather play in that than
yeah,
having, it pouring sideways and having a somewhat quasi hurricane tornado thing go through.
yeah.
You know,
I think the cool part was the wind laid down as well,
yeah,
which made for
which
pretty
hardly ever
much,
happens too.
yeah, which made for optimal scoring conditions. And I went out and played 9 holes there at eQuinelle, which is our host course in Kempville on Friday night. And yeah, you couldn't ask for better conditions. The greens were rolling true, and there was nary a patch on the fairways, and so there was
Nary,
really no
laddie.
excuses. And if there is you got what you shot. That was really what it amounted to. So I mean, all the players said it was out there, and we saw that after day one.
Oh
We had
yeah.
nine players under par after day one, which I don't know if we've seen that before in the tournament. We've seen some low scoring before, and
Not consistent low scoring. Like we've
right,
seen low
exactly,
scoring with a
yeah,
couple guys up at the top, but not the depth. Like and this little
yeah,
the depth that went right down into our B division. Like
definitely,
and let's just qualify something with respect to the divisions. We call them divisions, not flights. Flights implies net. This is not a net tournament.
mm,
So in our divisions, our A division ended at 1.8.
yeah,
1.7, sorry.
yeah. So these are talented golfers.
Yeah.
Even when you're looking at B flight and C flight, these are still low index players that are C flight players in a we'll call it an Ottawa Valley Golf Association competition are still A class players.
Mm-hmm.
They're that good as far as the level of play.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just divide up the field, but 120 talented golfers that came in from all over. Good to see. I think 13 guys from the Timmins crew were in there.
Yeah.
I know we had one guy who came back who originally lived in Kingston, but I think he came back from Calgary for the tournament. Yeah, so it was just nice to see people in from all over the place, and just to get that sort of feeling again of that community that maybe it lessened a little bit after during the COVID years, and then now we're seeing players coming from further distances again for sure.
Yeah. No, it was a great weekend. And um our winner this year, we should just get to that part of it, I guess,
Yeah,
is our winner was Aiden Coyle from plays at a Carlton Golf and Yacht
yep.
Club, or Yacht and Golf Club. And
And he was 3 back after day one. He
yeah.
was 68 day one, but we had 2 rounds. Mr. Rouse and Mr. Sims both came in and had bogey free rounds day one in 65 and 67.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was some work. We knew some things would shift around a little bit on Sunday. I mean,
Yeah, it
everybody gets
usually
out there.
does. Something
Yeah.
usually goes on. Either somebody just puts up a crazy number,
Yep.
which was the case with Jonah O'Connor, who kind of went
Yes. He
went
was rolling.
unconscious for 17 holes and
Yeah.
then was unconscious for one. So,
Yeah, unfortunately for
sorry, I'm not,
Jonah. No.
I
Yeah,
just
and he
I'm
knows.
these guys are all good players. They
Yeah.
know that, in the moment, um you make a decision to play a certain way because
Yeah.
of how the rest of your day has been going.
Hmm.
And for some reason, the moment is a little bigger than your consistency, and
Mm.
some weird stuff happens. And that happened with 2 guys in that same sort
Yeah.
of scenario, and that just kind of killed any chances they had of
Yeah,
winning at that point.
Jonah had the lead. He was 6 under and playing 18. And as he said to us, he was going to play the straightest club in his bag, which is his driver on 18.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it didn't go so straight. And he
No.
said he didn't regret it. He would do the same thing over again. But as a result of it, he fell back and failed to get the win, but he ended up as the A winner. And then Alex Sims, who obviously had led the first day, he had the same situation as well. He struggled coming down 18, and he needed a birdie in the end to match what Aiden did. And Aiden struggled a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He had to make a long par putt on 18 to avoid the playoff with Jonah. So but yeah, some great play in there. Just fun to see, and for Aiden as well. His brother Jared had won the tournament last year.
I know, it's crazy.
That was the 1-1 that they, as Aiden said, now he doesn't have bragging rights, so now they have to sort of settle it, maybe on another title. But overall, just fantastic play.
Yeah. So with Aiden winning 68-71, 2-round score. Our division winners, obviously, Jonah O'Connor was our A division, close to winning overall. Manny Restrepo was our B division. Brian Guzzo was our C division, and Chad Moran was our D division. And we're really excited about where this tournament has how this tournament has progressed over the years and where it has gotten to. We've been very fortunate. We have great partners with TaylorMade Golf and Adidas Golf. We've had those partnerships from the onset of this tournament, basically, and we're fortunate that we've got a great partner at eQuinelle Golf Club for the host. It's great to be able to, for me, in my opinion, it's great to be able to have a consistent host golf club every single year. I hope we can keep that relationship with eQuinelle going strong into the future, because it's kind of like, the Eastern Ontario's Masters, if you will. I mean, it's the same weekend every year. It's just something on the same golf course every year. We have the same partners every year, but we have different players every year. We still, as far as the value of golf, I mean, for those that aren't familiar with it, you pay an entry fee of, I think it's $260, and you get quite a big grab bag package. I mean, a registration gift package, that is probably worth $350-400. And then you get a steak dinner on the Saturday night, and you get 2 rounds of golf at one of the most fantastic golf courses in our region. And you get range balls are on the range for you to hit, and then you get the whole tournament experience. So
starters, everything.
Rules officials,
rules officials. Yeah, we have some of the best in Canada.
Yeah, 5 of them out there, and
so we'll continue that into our next event.
Yeah,
which,
so
I know we've got at the end of the notes here, but we may as well mention it.
Yeah, we'll mention now. We've got the Flagstick.com shootout coming up July 13th and 14th at Smuggler's Glen Golf Course, and this is the second consecutive year that it's been back. It was an event for quite some time, then it kind of went away. Now we're bringing it back, and we had a good turnout last year. We're hoping for a full field this year. 72 players is the max that we take for the Flagstick.com shootout. We're very fortunate. Again, we have great partners in Cobra Puma Golf and a host club at Smuggler's Glen. So again, great facility, great golf course. Now the event is a little more unique than the Open, in that it's a 72-player field, but we will divide the field in 2. Once everybody is registered, we'll split the field in 2 based on index. But that said, there'll be sort of 2 tournaments going on at the same, or 3 tournaments going on at the same time. We'll have an A division, a B division tournament, but the overall, because everybody's going to play from the same tees. So that just opens it up. You don't have to feel like you've got to be a one index to compete for something. We want everybody in the tournament to feel they can compete for something, but we want everybody to feel in the tournament to feel they can still have a shot at winning the overall title, regardless of which division that they're in. So it's just,
and really, I mean, even for the ones that are a little bit further down, I mean, it's just the experience of the tournament and overall. And obviously, it's nice to be competitive as well, but you want to go there and enjoy that weekend. And Smuggler's is a great location for that. And it's July 13th, 14th, nice time of summer. Course is in perfect shape already. I can tell you that for sure. So definitely people should not hesitate if they want to get signed up.
Yeah, it's a fun little getaway. You can even do a family weekend if you want to get 3 other buddies together, register for the tournament, come down, get a room, hang out. You can sit on the dock at night, and like it really is kind of a whole experience. It's a total experience. So there you go. Flagstick.com shootout. You can find registration at flagstickshootout.com or at flagstick.com underneath the events tab. So there you go.
100%.
Wrap up one, talk about another. Moving on. Play Junior Golf Tour had their spring open event, first event of the year at Rideau View. And they had more than 80 players on what we know to have been a perfect Sunday, because it was at the same time as ours was going on. This was the Soaring Open. Soaring Open?
You're an idiot.
There you go. See, it's the Spring Open.
Don't read the script.
Sorry, no. It's like the Ron Burgundy. I read it on purpose. Okay,
I know you did.
Because Soaring, what the heck is Soaring?
I don't know. I thought there was a new sponsor, but
anyways,
it
was held at Rideau View.
Good round shot out there.
Yeah. So details of all the winners. They have a lot of divisions and stuff at these events, but this is all part of the race to the Flagstick.com Cup.
Yeah.
On the Play Junior Golf Tour. I'm actually having a phone conversation with the organizer and operator and founder Chris Feldkamp a little bit later on to talk about some things that need to be talked about. So details are all up at flagstick.com for the divisions U9 to U19.
Yeah, next event will be in June is going to be the Schools Out Invitational at
Upper Canada. Or Amherst.
Amherst is the one that's next. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. What else we got here?
Golf Ontario had the Spring Classic. They were going through that on the long weekend as well. And they had some weather issues. The boys now play at Wooden Sticks. They used to have both competitions at Wooden Sticks, but the fields got too big. So the boys were at Wooden Sticks. The girls were at Fire Rock in London. But fantastic play.
That's a great name for a golf course.
Which one? Fire Rock.
Fire Rock.
Fire Rock. Yeah, hopefully.
So it's Wooden Sticks, but Fire Rock.
Kamoka, Ontario, just west of London. I've seen it, have not played it, but a record scoring on the boys' side. Matthew Javier, who's been a fantastic player the last couple of years in Golf Ontario events, winning a number of titles. Minus 14 for the 54 holes, and that's including a little bit of a weather delay in there. And then on the girls' side, they actually unfortunately lost a round due to the weather, so it was rain shortened to 36. But Nobel Park, who plays out of Rattlesnake Point, ended up in a playoff at 7 under par with Michelle Zing and end up prevailing in that playoff. So again, we're not seeing these tournaments being won with even par and 1 under and 2 under. These players are going low. So it's pretty impressive to watch those leaderboards and to see the level of play that we're now seeing in this junior ranks in Ontario.
That is crazy. Minus 14.
Yeah.
I know it's 54 holes, but
still,
who the hell cares?
Yeah, that's some good golf.
Oh, you junior golfers. These young kids and all these sports are just so much better at this age than
they are. They're a little bit more advanced. They've had different advantages, and their expectations are higher, I think, than maybe what they're used to be. So
now the thing that got us off topic a little bit before the show started there, the National
try not to get us off topic today.
Yeah, the National Allied Golf Association released their economic impact study today. This is something that happens every 5 years, and to avoid spending the next 30 minutes going over this, we're going to take some time and take a read of the report, the study, and then we'll come back at it next show with a little bit more in-depth analysis, because there's too much to decipher there.
Yeah, it just came out at 8:30 this morning. I had a quick read. You kind of look at the executive summary and so forth, but I want to get into the nitty gritty and give it some deep analysis. because I think it's important. And we actually, the Golf Journalists Association of Canada actually has a virtual summit on the topic this week. So that'll be interesting to see what comes of that when some of the journalists are able to make some comments after having read the reports, and also asking questions of some of the parties that are included in that National Allied Golf Association. So more to come.
So we will get more into that the next show. Flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa Tour gets started this year with their spring open at eQuinelle.
Yeah,
we were just there. It's a full field, Stableford event, which is perfect for the pros for the springtime, because most of the pros, I would say, at this point during the year probably haven't played. So putting emphasis on stroke play is probably a little bit evil.
Yeah, I talked to my my playing partner for the day, and he has played 9 holes.
So it's great. You're all pros here. Should be no problem.
Sure.
68 PGA of Ottawa professionals, ladies, seniors, and open division categories. Dan McNeely from Rideau View still, eh?
Yeah, Rideau View.
Defends. He's the open title champion from last year. He defends. Unfortunately, Tara McIlroy and the women's, and Pasquale Mongillo is in the seniors will not be in attendance to try for a repeat.
You got it.
There's also going to be 12 candidates.
That's going to be
giving it a go for the playability tests.
Yeah,
giving it a go. You want to talk about pressure?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't think about it that much. You know, as far as they're a candidate for membership. You know, they want to start getting into the program. Part of that is playing in. Now, they're not required to shoot 65 here.
No.
But when you have a number, that's what makes it more difficult. It's not you're tipping up in a tournament. There's a nervous energy as playing in a tournament as it is, but there's no expectations at the time you tip it up for a tournament, because you don't know what the rest of the field is going to do. So you don't know what you have to do or what's required. You only have to play your own game. But and
there's rarely consequences, really. I mean, if you finish, there's 18 seniors on Monday. If I finish 18th, I finish 18th. No big deal.
You're not still go home. 18th.
I know, but
we're looking for the W, McLeod.
That's not really the point. But the difficulty with the playability aspect of it, though, is that you're right. It's that number that looms, and it's the fact that it's a significant moment in your career. It's your ability to start the PGA program, and you just get delayed by not being able to play.
And not a lot do it. Like, that's the thing. Not a lot pull it off the first 1 or 2 times that they attempt it. A lot of times it's because, let's just put it this way. If your number is 155.
Yeah. Now it's one round. It's one round now.
Oh.
So let's say
that's worse.
I don't know if it is or not.
So you play one round, and it's over. Like, that's worse, because you have no way of making up the mistakes.
Right. True.
If you're all of a sudden coming in and you got like you're +8 coming down the 18th, you're done. You're cooked. 79 you're not going to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't have to sleep on it for the next day, so that's a good thing. But you're right, you can't have a recovery round.
I would rather not know after 9 holes that it's not happening.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Because essentially, 9 holes, not to make you guys nervous if you're listening to the show, but if you're not even close with 9 holes to go, you're done. You're cooked. And you have no makeup. Like, you can't come back the next day and shoot 72, which for some of these guys and girls that are doing this is quite very possible to shoot even par or better. They're good golfers.
Some it's their first tournament experience. They want to get into the industry, and some have never played tournaments before. Well, so they go out there and
go in.
Yeah, I know, but it varies depending on the golfer, for sure. And you don't know how strong they are mentally. You don't know how much they can kind of push away the thoughts of.
So what's the number?
I think it's 9 over the rating. So I'd have to double check that.
Well, you're not playing the back tees at eQuinelle.
No, so that's what I mean. So it ends up not being whatever as far as the number wise. It's not like it's 9 over par. It's generally, in a lot of cases, it ends up being like 7 over par. right? So it's pretty hard.
eQuinelle, the rating is like it's
I
like
think they're
71 or something like that. Is it
I
not
think
from the
their number
back?
is going to be, I think, well, they're not playing the back tees. They don't play the back tees. But whatever the case, I think the number is 78 or 79. But I'll tell you what, you stand on that first tee and you dump one in the water, your brain gets thinking pretty quick.
Oh, that's one shot right there, minimum.
Yeah, at least.
Now you got to make a couple birdies just to keep the,
And now you start just counting down the number more than anything. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's happening on Monday.
Yep. I'll be there.
Scott will be there. And there's a good chance that I will be popping over to have a look at the festivities. At least to have a buffalo chicken wrap. So
yes,
TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley, the North Course, they announced yeah, not really. Probably the worst kept secret.
Yeah, 100%. For the last
announced
like 4
as the
years.
host of the 2025 RBC Canadian Open. I gotta say, I love everything about this move. I like the idea that my understanding is from this that this is going to become like a regular rotation course for the tournament.
Yes,
probably should be the permanent home, but anyway, we'll leave that up to the
powers that be,
PGA and whatnot. But I love the fact that it's at this, and they have been going under some huge renovations and construction projects over the last while. I can't wait to get back up because we were there a while ago.
I was there last fall.
I want to see
recent trip there.
I want to see how much it's changed. I want to play. I don't get really excited for a lot of golf courses. But I loved everything about the courses that we played up there and the facility, and I can't wait to see what they've done. And I love this announcement.
It's even better now with the the main clubhouse that's open on the North Course. They've got another one going. They've got cabins that are going in up there. They've got all sorts of different things, an enhanced range. The North Course stretches to 7,500 yards now. So it's enhanced that way. Ian Andrew did finished up the work up there. It's a big ballpark. It's got some room as well, but it's got the room for things like spectators and so forth. So it's 45 minutes kind of north of Toronto, north of Mississauga, but that's still a great location for a lot of things. And you're right, they can put a lot of infrastructure in place here that can make it a regular home. So let's call it a for lack of a better term, a replacement for Glen Abbey, really what it amounts to. I mean, Glen Abbey obviously served as the home of the Canadian Open for many, many, many years. In fact, I had someone, obviously, when this announcement came out, they're like, oh yeah, it's the Ontario Open again or whatever. And yes, I understand there's only been 9 Canadian Opens and 114 playings that have been outside of Ontario or Quebec. But there's a lot of things that have to do with that from a logistics standpoint, quality of the golf courses, sponsors, many, many, many things. While it would be, lovely to run around the country to lots of other different facilities, this event has to be successful, and for it to be economically successful, there's a lot of things that have to happen. It's not just about the golf course itself. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and this has been anointed as the future home of Canadian golf. There's another building that's set to go up there. There's already been a number of items and things from the Golf Hall of Fame that have been brought up there.
Yeah, you saw the videos on social media that they posted there the last couple of days with some stuff, some memorabilia and whatnot.
Right.
Maybe we should get a display of the very first edition of Flagstick Golf magazine in the Canadian.
It's already in the archive.
I want to see it.
I have a copy of it, so
I want to see it on
display. So hopefully at some time
Canada's greatest golf magazine,
a larger space up there. And but yeah, it was an expected announcement, and don't be surprised if this becomes a default location for a lot of things. Obviously they have a PGA Tour Americas event up there as well. There's a lot of things that are happening, and the Monday qualifier for this year is taking place up there, so that'll be a good test as well.
Should be great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think at this point, we have burned through a good number of topics on the front nine. So
let me throw one more at you.
Okay. All right.
One more.
Well, we do got a little bit of time here. We like to maximize our Zoom time.
Yeah, there's still some more qualifying to finish up, but Adam Hadwin has been announced. He's in the top 60 in the world, so he's been announced as getting one of the exemptions. He's now exempt into the US Open, so that makes 5 Canadians that are in the men's US Open at this point. So just a quick thing here that was announced this week, right after the completion of the PGA. And you're also going to see, we'll get to it when we get to the Canadian Open stuff, because there's some other stuff that's happening in there. So
all right,
we'll take a look at that in the back nine.
All right. Well, let's leave it there. We're going to take a quick little break. It won't be very long. And when we come back, we're going to get into our back nine. And we're going to have a little bit of a Canadian Open preview and, talk about the venue, the players, a few of the expectations, things like that. But we'll do that on the back nine right after the break. So stay with us. You are listening and watching the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
Why play the all-new TaylorMade TP5 and 5X? Because your ball should be longer, like half a club longer. Your ball should be more consistent from the fairway. Your ball should feel softer for better control around the greens. But most of all, your ball should perform like it was built just for you. Play the #1 ball for you, the all-new TP5 and 5X, only from TaylorMade.
All right, well, welcome back to the Flagstick podcast. I'm Jeff Botter. He's Scott McLeod. We're going to get into some back nine stuff for you now. And I've had my English muffin, so I'm good. And a fresh coffee, so I'm even better. All right, the back nine is presented. Oh, look at that. The back nine is presented by Celtic Golf Center, located only 20 minutes from Ottawa in Kemptville. Celtic Golf Center is indoor golf on another level, featuring 5 state-of-the-art TrackMan simulators and 2 Unicore sims. With GS Pro, Celtic Golf Center can offer you 10,000 course options, including many major golf courses. Play rounds with friends, practice with full swing analysis, or play golf games. Visit CelticGolfCenter.com to learn more or to book tee times. But I think the tee times are at a minimum now. Yeah. Because the weather's really good. But I'm sure if you want a private event there, you can give Andy a call now that he's back from his third vacation in the last month.
And start planning for the fall. So
exactly. Plan ahead. All right. We said we were going to do it, and now we're going to do it. RBC Canadian Open preview.
You got her. Next week.
It's kind of cool. It's exciting. Exciting to have the Canadian Open coming up on the docket, just on the heels of the PGA Championship.
It's just weird because it's so early in the season now, but getting used to it. Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It comes up fast. I mean,
it does.
I would say one thing, it's got to be, and I know having chatted with, Brian Crawford, the tournament director, in the fall, I was up at the host course, Hamilton Golf and Country Club, and they were just getting ready to put up their first grandstands and everything. And, there's obviously a sense of nervousness of wondering what the weather is going to look like in the spring, and whether to get the course in shape and so forth. And Hamilton years ago lost all their greens in the springtime, so there's a lot of things to be nervy about this early in the year. But we've had a pretty early start, and the course looks fabulous from all the photos I've seen. So
there you go. That's good. Yeah. That's a good thing. Very good thing. So yes, the Hamilton Country Club will be the host for the 7th time.
Yes.
Of the RBC Canadian Open. First hosted it in 1919.
That's wild, eh? When you think about that.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I'm not a historian when it comes to golf. So 1919.
Yeah, this is a club that's existed since the 1890s. If you're familiar, well, they've had 3 locations over the years. They had one that was downtown, then they had one that was what became the Shootout Golf Club, the municipal golf course. And then they moved up. They bought a farm up in Ancaster and built the current golf course with Harry Colt as the architect. They have 27 holes there. They use the south and the west for this championship. And we'll get into the course a little bit later on. But yeah, as you said, it's one of those historic venues that, has a storied history, not only hosting the men's open, but the women's open as well. In fact, after 1919, when they hosted the men's, they hosted the women's the very next year, and they hosted the women's 2 more times before the men came back in 1930. So pretty much every championship in Canada has been held at this golf course. It's just one of those staples. It's always revered as one of the top clubs and courses in the country, and just has a really dynamic property, with some elevation and so forth, and just has an aura about it. And I think everybody, when they come there, if you talk to the players, they get a sense of that as well. And if you're in the clubhouse, and when I was there in the fall, I spent some time just looking at the boards with the names on the boards of the Canadian amateur winners and everything up on the boards, and the players that have played there, from Bobby Jones to Nicholas to whoever. Mm-hmm. And it has hosted the best in the game over the history of the golf course, and they preserve that as well. Playing with Alan Carter, who's the head man there. They've got a great archives as well, and they've got some beautiful displays around the clubhouse with a lot of different historic photos and graphics and images. And yeah, it's kind of one of those very, very cool old school golf courses.
All right. Well, we know the golf course is fantastic. We know the golf course is going to be a test. We know that the players, we know that now some of the players that are going to be coming, obviously we're excited to see, Rory McIlroy as their defending RBC Canadian, well, not the RBC Canadian Open champion. Our defending RBC Canadian Open champion is not Rory McIlroy.
Correct.
The last person to win it at Hamilton Country Club was Rory McIlroy. And at this point, what do we have, Scott, for players that we should be that are in the field that are notable? So I know there's still a bunch to come, but
yeah. So we're going to get the full field on Friday. I'd say first thing, obviously, we're going to have the large contingent of Canadians, which we get at a Canadian Open, which I should say. Sure. I had a few other people that were commenting to me, and we were talking about, the tournament and, how it's an important event, and, maybe it should be an elevated field event. And I reminded them that if it became an elevated field or signature event, it wouldn't be an open. It would be 70 players, and we wouldn't have the opportunity to be an open championship with our regional qualifiers and so forth, and have the opportunity to showcase some of our young Canadian players, to give them the opportunity to get in the field, be it the Aaron Cochrans of the world that are playing in DP World Tour, the Richard T. Lee, who's playing over in Asia, the Stuart McDonalds and Matt Anderson that are having success on PGA Tour Americas, the Miles Creighton, Will Batemans that are having success on the Corn Ferry Tour. I mean, this is where you kind of give them their opportunity to get in front of the Canadians. So, we have 25 Canadians so far, with the Monday queue left to go. But outside of all the significant Canadians, and really it is all the significant Canadians, most notably, and I saw this last night, which was the most intriguing early commitment, was Adam Scott. And, he's only played the Canadian Open one time before, and that was in 2003. And it was John McCarthy, actually, the Post Media, who actually said, hey, he's dropped out of the top 60 in the world. So he's actually trying to earn his way back into that top 60. He needs to be there by June 10th to get in the US Open field, which it's like, oh, okay. And that has probably prompted a number of players to probably commit this week. One thing that's good is that, we're not right ahead of the US Open as we were for a little while.
Right.
The Memorial is next week. So another big event, of course, with Memorial and US Open. So we're not going to see, let's just say we're not going to see the top field that you could possibly have here, but we're not going to be short on quality players. And, the Adam Scotts are joined by Sungjae Im, who, he's only played here in 2019. He finished seventh. Gary Woodland, which is a nice ad as well.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, he's going to be super popular, I'm sure, given his recent health struggles and so forth. But, he's played in this tournament 4 times. The last time he did it was 2018. And, he did finish fourth in 2017. So, this has always been a case of, what are our fields look like? We definitely have some strong players. And I mean, you just have to look back to the players that have won this in the past at Hamilton. And as you mentioned, Rory, Scott Piercy may have not been the sexiest winner in 2012, as far as a lot of people for glitz and whatever, but, we're talking Tommy Armour, like I said, won it in 30, Bob Tway won it in 2003, and Jim Furyk won it in 2006. So there's definitely a record of fine players playing here. And, again, we look back to 2019 and who came to the top of the leaderboard. And as you mentioned, Rory got the win with an amazing 61 in the final round to win by 7. But Shane Lowry, who was right behind him, is going to be back in the field as well. And I think we talked about this the other show, is that, players like Lowry and Fleetwood are still those star level players, especially Lowry, given a recent win. He's an Open champion. So having those players back in the field will certainly, kind of add some dazzle, I guess, to the week that's coming ahead.
So what's interesting too is you mentioned about Adam Scott and the top 60 in the world being exempt into the U.S. Open. Adam Scott currently sits 62nd on the world rankings, but interesting above him, Taylor Pendrith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
who obviously is in the field this week. Taylor Pendrith is sitting 61st.
Yes.
And there's some really strong players that are behind. Now, I don't know how the algorithms work, but I mean, there's some players like Mackenzie Hughes is also further down.
Yeah, so some of those are already in based on other exemptions. So that doesn't affect their spot in the US Open, for an example. But yes, some of them it certainly does.
Yeah, so I'd be curious to see. I mean, I haven't seen the whole list of players. See how many players that are sitting outside the top 60 are committed to the RBC Canadian Open this week. And the Memorial, though, is that not? That's
elevated event.
Yeah, so there's basically, this is kind of if you're not in the Memorial, you're kind of this is your last opportunity to do something. And I don't know what you have to do. Like, I don't know the algorithm for the world golf rankings and how, what position you need to place to jump, how many points and stuff like that. But it seems like there's a lot of guys like right now, as far as the total points that they have, right now, the 60th spot has 100.2617 points. And the next person is Taylor Pendrith with 95. 0.8. So I don't know how many points you get based on your positioning. It's probably a very complex algorithm, but
yeah. And the thing is, with the event next week, you've only got 70 players in the field. So most of those players in that elevated, most of them are already in those majors already. So they don't really become a factor. So like you said, this is the time when players need to, kind of work their way in, and which can be hard to do, because if obviously those players are playing the signature events against the stronger fields, which strength of field plays into that as far as the world ranking points, they may play really well this week and still not get in, based on the strength of the field kind of next week. But when it comes down to it, it's just play as well as you can to work your way up there. But as a result, it just it provides an extra motivation, and the purse is elevated again this coming week. Not quite the level that the signature events are, but just under 1.7 million is the first prize at the RBC Canadian Open this year. So it's nothing to sniff at for sure. And as we mentioned, with those 25 Canadians that are there, some of those young guys, so outside of the usual guys that are now having success on the PGA Tour, this could be their opportunity to work their way into a top position, or work their way, even possibly, flip something into status. You just never know.
Yeah.
what those players can do. And, the nice aspect of it is, we saw that last time. Ancaster was a great example. I can remember being there, and there was a huge contingent for Mackenzie Hughes, families out there with his face on big cards and placards and stuff like that. We're going to see that for a lot of those 25 Canadians that are out there. So it adds a whole different aspect to it every year when we go to the RBC Canadian Open. Now, it's difficult to make the cut. I think our record at this point in the last little while, short of the Opens long time ago, has been kind of 8 players that can have made the cut. But
see, that's where you ask the question, will it contain, we always ask the question when the RBC Canadian Open is happening, will a Canadian contend?
Right.
And I mean, well, I don't know. Will a Canadian contend at any PGA Tour event at any given time? I mean, is it just because
odds are higher nowadays? That's for sure.
If the tournament is in Canada, does that make it more likely or less likely that they will contend? I think it's less likely that they will contend than any other PGA Tour event that a Canadian will participate on. Because in any given week, you've got 5 or 6 Canadians participating, in a PGA Tour event.
Sure.
There's still. You've got more Canadians playing in the RBC Canadian Open, but
there's also
the same number of Canadians are participating that would normally participate, that would contend in a regular PGA Tour event. There's just more of the second tier Canadians participating in the Canadian Open. So is it more likely or less likely? My guess is it possible that a Canadian could win again? Sure it is. Nick Taylor did it. Why not?
Yeah.
But is it likely that a Canadian will contend? I'd say it's probably less likely because of the commitments, the pressure. I think
I think you're right, especially that commitment standpoint. There's definitely more tickets handed out, more events they have to do, more appearances, more, especially with the RBC guys that are sponsored by RBC. They have extra outings. There's more dinners. There's all sorts of different things that they have to do that take away from their preparation.
Yeah. So that's my take on it. I mean, hey, prove me wrong. That's all I'm saying. Prove me wrong. I'm not saying that a Canadian won't contend. I'm saying that it's less likely.
Yeah,
that a Canadian, it's more likely that a Canadian will contend in the Memorial next week or this week than.
Yeah, we have a high percentage because we have a lot of them playing. I would say this. I will go 1 Canadian at least in the top 10. I mean, last time that they were there, the Hadwin finished 6th at Hamilton, so he won the Rivermead Trophy the last time they were there. I would say it's safe to say, if I was going to bet, I would say there's going to be 1 Canadian that will contend and be in the top 10 at the end of the week. Now, early in the week, it could create a lot of buzz if, more Canadians kind of get in the mix. But I'll go with that. So let's talk a little bit more about the golf course too, because it has changed a lot since 2019. 2019 was really, as soon as they got done, they pretty much, kind of ripped up the carpet and renovated the house. And the fact that the club had, they embarked on a relationship with Martin Ebert, who, his firm with Tom McKenzie, they had, they've been responsible for a lot of open venues over in the UK. I saw Martin in 2019. I had a chat with him about this particular renovation and this work, and we were chatting about it actually in Northern Ireland. And he had been employed by the club. They'd started talking, I think, in 2014, and the plan started in earnest. And he did it mostly from a distance, obviously because of the COVID situation. But the club approved a massive renovation to all 27 holes, and specifically, the 2 nines that host the Canadian Open. $11.5 million renovation. They got
that's more than most golf courses.
Yeah, and if you look back at I was looking through some of their records and what it cost. I think one of their nines when they built it, I think it was the East 9. The cost for it was like $15,000. This is obviously 100 years ago, but $11.5 million is a lot. They got the renovation done and the course fully back open in 2022, and it was really, we'll call it less. And I mentioned that it's more of a restoration than a renovation, because it really took a look at what Harry Colt had done, and they have a fabulous, very thick book of showing the historical aspects of everything and what the changes were. And this was what, Ebert used to, present to the membership. And what players are going to find is, although the golf course is only 70 yards longer than it was, it's going to play much differently than the one did in 2019. And going there in the fall, having played this golf course many times in the past, I was delighted to see what the changes were from the, tree removals, the different views that were out there. But it was the playing that made the difference. And, going out there and seeing where they had placed, especially on that first hole, they talked about, Rory almost driving the first hole, which is just over 400 yards, during that 2019 Open. But now we'll call it the Rory bunker down the left side that, can bite you pretty good. And that was one of the big things, is they repositioned the bunkers a little bit more different off the tee. They're deeper around the greens, and definitely big changes around the greens themselves.
Now, 18 as it sits right now, really quite one of the more difficult par 4 finishing holes that the players play. It forces you to hit short of the stream that kind of snakes its way. It's not really a straight creek or stream that runs. It's kind of like it looks like a serpent that kind of goes in there, and it makes things difficult. But for the most part, players lay up.
They do
to the bottom of the fairway, the bottom of the hill. How far is it for them to fly? Because I got to think that given where the end the fairway ends, that there's got to be one or two players. Like if a Bryson DeChambeau was playing in this, would he challenge the stream?
He possibly could. I think you're looking at probably
Gary Woodland hits it pretty far too, and so does Rory. Like you got to think that these guys got a little bit in the tank.
I think it would really depend on the wind. If they get a south wind going, it's probably 340
to fly.
To fly. Now you've got to remember, there are bits, because of the shape and where it goes, there are bits that are probably only 320, but
chances of hitting one of those bits with a driver,
right?
It's not a wedge you're hitting here,
No, and you also got to remember, this is not a shaved right down around around this area. This is long grass. It's around the creek side or whatever. I have to guess. I'm trying to think in 2019 who the player was, but I know somebody took it on and managed to get across it. But in most cases, just the odds of doing it are really, it's difficult, and it's just under 460. But the big thing is that when you hit it down that hill, and it is downhill, so a lot of guys will just hit a hybrid and bounce it down and then hit their approach up. But that also means you've got a downhill lie to a green that's elevated above you. And this was the highest scoring par 4 in 2019, for as far as stroke average, which made it follow the softest hole in 17 as far as the par 5. So it definitely leads to some drama. We're not saying it's going to be an easy. If a player comes down there and they've got a 1-stroke lead or they're tied for the lead, don't look for somebody to make a birdie, because on the other side of it, the green has got a lot of slope to it as well. It's really, really tricky. This is not a hole that's, an auto par for sure. So, the drama could come down to something that's, not on the birdie side of things. It could come down to the higher scoring side of things on 18, but 17 is major renovated as well.
That's the par 5.
Correct. Yeah. So it used to be 550, and now it's about 580, and the green has been pushed back, so it's pushed further south. The bunkers are definitely more distinctive, and the green now tilts away from the fairway, which really creates a unique look to it. So you can actually, if you could actually reach it now. Obviously, when I played it in the fall, I didn't play it from the 580 tee, but if you're in a position where you can go for it, you can actually drive it past the green, and there's some pitching areas where you can come back, especially if you have a back left hole location. or if it's in that back left hole location, hitting it to the front right is no easy, two putt from there. So I don't think the scoring will be quite as simple, obviously, depending on the wind. And I think as well, what I didn't mention, I talked about the bunkers and stuff like that around the greens, not only the bunkers deeper, the greens now sort of have that UK styled rumpling, we'll call it, when we go over and play it in the UK, and it's got some shape to it, so it's not like a stepped undulations, they're very subtle undulations. So
I like
it
that.
Takes a lot more skill to read the greens have a lot more runoffs, a la kind of a Pinehurst sort of thing or whatever.
I love the runoff areas.
So you'll see that if shots just sort of hit the edge of the green, they'll work their way off the green more than they'll work onto the green, and then that ends up, and because they've got it shaved down a little bit more around those edges, it's not a matter of just getting there and hitting this, flop shot out of the rough. They're going to have to hit some really creative and precise shots. So there's more creativity, there's more options for those players now, which I think will lead to some differences in the scoring, but also identifying a different style of player as well. Not to say that Rory can't succeed there, because he has the tools to be able to do that.
Oh, for sure.
But players are definitely going to have to be on their game, and especially if they can get it firm enough on those greens, they could be real fun to watch
because of the rumpling.
Because of the rumpling. I love the rumpling.
That freaking rumpling.
Love it.
It's really UK cool style rumpling.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because, I'm sitting there doing like, aim point and looking at the greens, and I'm looking at green charts and stuff like that. And man, they're there's not a lot of spots that are, kind of dead flat. There's going to be a lot of double breaking, triple breaking putts that are even from a short distance. So you could hit it 20 feet and have a 3-break putt from 20 feet. And again, it's not like it's, steps in the green. It's just very subtle. So players are going to have to really work hard to kind of read that. It's not a super long golf course from tour standards, just under 7,100 par 70, which is 74 yards.
Yeah, but it's everything else about that golf course that makes it difficult, and that's that's one of the things about Hamilton Country Club that I liked the first time I saw it is the way that they can make the golf course tougher by grow the rough up, pinch the fairways in, all that kind of stuff. Like it just. You can make a 7,100-yard golf course tough. You can make a 6,900-yard golf course tough if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You think about it. When we set up the Flagstick Open, the scoring is what the scoring is. We don't even set that golf course up as difficult as we can set that golf course up. We could set it up way, way tougher than we do. But we set it up with a variety of toughness and openness, I guess we would call it, to encourage scoring and to encourage aggressive play. But we could make it a whole lot harder.
Yeah, I think the player is just going to have to be a lot more precise. And I think the risks, while they come with rewards, I think the risks now come with higher penalties than they have in the past. 100%. And you're going to see that in the large brows around the greens and the number of things, or around the bunkers, players you're going to see some wild shots. Let's just say that the highlight package are going to be interesting, and there's going to be some disasters where players get themselves in some really tricky spots where it's going to be very difficult to play out of. So definitely have to be a little bit more precise next week, but hey, should be great theater. RBC's got their concert series going. I haven't heard much on ticket sales, although I think they're a little bit more restricted at Ancaster than they are in some other venues. But I'm sure that I'm sure the sales are going well. And once they announce that field, the full field on Friday, I think that will pop it up a little bit even more. So looking forward to getting there and being on site and
should be good.
Having some reports on it. So.
All right. Well, there you have it from us. You have your I won't call it an in-depth preview of the RBC Canadian Open, but it's as in-depth as this guy and that guy are going to give you.
Yeah,
so,
for now.
We're not going to get into detailed statistics too much. It's not really our thing. Okay, well, there you go. I think that puts a wrap on another fine episode of the Flagstick podcast. We do thank you for tuning in and listening to us. Thanks to all our sponsors this week again, Metcalf Golf Club, Celtic Golf Center, and of course our presenting sponsor again this week, TaylorMade Golf. What if the golf ball you're playing isn't the number one ball for you? Meet the all-new TP5 and TP5X from TaylorMade. Whether you prefer the softest 5-layer tour ball in TP5 or the fastest, now that's a half club longer in TP5X, you'll be playing a golf ball that performs like it was built just for you. Available in white, yellow, and picks. You can personalize it with my symbol no matter which you choose. Every TP5 and TP5X is designed to help your game. Head to TaylorMadeGolf.ca today to find the number one ball for you. Well, we do hope that you've been enjoying what you've been hearing and watching this week. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, Facebook. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like us and click the notification bell to make sure you never miss a single episode. And please get over to flagstick.com for even more amazing content delivered there every single day. And sign up for Flagstick Digest so you can get some of that content delivered to your inbox, not once, not twice, but 3 times a week. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. But until next week, I'm Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.